Three, two, three, two. No matter how I think we grow, you always seem to let me know it ain't working. It ain't working. And when I try to walk away, you hurt yourself to make me stay. This is crazy. This is crazy. Come on, care for me, care for me. I know you care for me, there for me, there for me. I know you're there for me, cry for me, cry for me. You said you'd die for me, get to me, get to me. Why won't you get to me, care for me, care for me? I said you there for me, there for me, there for me. You said you cry for me, cry for me, cry for me. You said you get to me, get to me, get to me. Why won't you get to me? Hey yo, welcome back to another episode of the Arts Block Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Curry III, and today we have another amazing, legendary, epic, worthy episode for you today. I'm so excited to give you guys the news, the juice. Today's episode isn't as juicy as last episode, so if you haven't watched last episodes and you like the juice, you like the tea, you like the hot tea, go ahead and watch last episodes, man. Last episodes was a movie. But before we get into this episode and all the goodness and greatness that this episode has to bring, please make sure that you like, make sure that you comment, make sure that you subscribe, make sure you turn on post notifications so you can be notified every time we post a podcast. That's on YouTube. Make sure if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, make sure you give me a 5 star and a review. You can just say that this is the greatest piece of art that you have ever watched in your life, and that will suffice, guys. Your love and support is very much appreciated. I don't know if I don't think I say that enough to you guys, how much I appreciate you guys love and support. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the love and support. It's appreciated. I love it. I'm honored. I love you guys just as much, if not more, than you guys love and support me. I can't wait to give you all more content, more ideas, more just things for all of us to enjoy during this journey. I think about this journey a lot. I think about where this can go, where this can take me, and I always think that I'm thinking too small about how big this podcast is going to be and how many people this podcast is going to touch. So I'm just grateful that I have you guys right now, and that you guys are rocking with me right now thus far. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. So, first thing on the docket, Apple Music has made a lot of people mad with their top 100 albums of all time. Now, here's the list. I'm just going to give you guys the top 10 on this list, and I'm just going to give you guys some like highlights of albums on this list that you guys may know, may not know, and where they're ranked. All right. So at 10, we have Lemonade by Beyonce. At 9, Nevermind by Nirvana. At 8, Back to Black by Amy Winehouse. At number 7, Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar. At number 6, Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. Number 5, Blonde by Frank Ocean. Number 4, Purple Rain by Prince and the Revolution. Number 3, Abbey Road by the Beatles. Number 2, Thriller by Michael Jackson. And at number 1, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And other albums that are on the list include The Blueprint by Jay-Z at 13, 21 by Adele at 15, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye at 17, The Chronic by Dr. Dre at 19, Discovery by Daft Punk at 23, Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy at 26. Let's see. Ready to Die by Notorious B.I.G. at 32. Beyonce by Beyonce at 36. Enter the Wu-Tang by Wu-Tang Clan at 37. Illmatic by Nas at 39. Aquemini by Outkast at 41. Control by Janet Jackson at 42. I didn't even know that. Whoa, Take Care by Drake at 47, Exodus by Bob Marley and the Wailers at 46. Then if we scroll down the list, All Eyes on Me is on the list by Tupac. My Life by Mary J. Blige is at 86. Confessions by Usher is at 95. Flower Boy by Tyler the Creator is at 92. Artists that aren't on here, there's no Isaac. Oh, Get Rich or Die Trying is on here. Um, Artists that aren't on here include the Isley Brothers, Earth, Wind and Fire, J. Cole, Alicia Keys isn't on this list. There's a lot of artists on this list. This list has made a lot of people unhappy. A lot of people were unhappy about this list. There were 21 rap albums, 18 rock albums, 16 pop albums, 14 alternative albums, 11 R&B and soul albums, 4 electronic albums, 3 hard rock albums, 3 jazz albums, 2 Motown albums, 2 punk albums, 2 singer-songwriter albums. All right. 1 country album, 1 Latin album, 1 metal album, and 1 roots reggae album, which was the Bob Marley record. All right, let's get into it. So, what is my opinion on the list? I'm just going to give y'all the top 10 on the list because I don't think that the rest of the list really matters. And I'm just going to give y'all my opinion on the top 10. I think that Apple Music played it really safe with this top 10. I think that they put, but I think they played it really safe at some parts, and I think that they wanted to be different in other parts, right? For example, thinking realistically, right? Thriller should be number one. Now, is the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill an amazing album, a legendary album, changed the scope of rap for women? Well, not even just for women, just changed just the scope of rap, in my opinion. It was a legend. It's definitely a legendary album. Definitely one of the greatest albums of all time. If, but to me, it's not the greatest album of all time. Thriller should be number one on this list. Well, not on my list, but on this particular list, I think Thriller should be number one. Abbey Road, Purple Rain, Songs in the Key of Life, Back to Black, Nevermind. Those are all classics in their own right. Those are all very safe choices to put in your top 10. Good Kid, Mad City is a choice to put in your top 10. Am I mad at it? No. I'm a hip hop fan. That's great for hip hop. I can never be mad at Good Kid, Mad City being in the top 10 of anything, right? Same thing for Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Do I think it should be number one? No, but it's great for hip hop. And I'm not going to be like, oh, why is the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill the number one? No, bro. If you listen to it, you will understand why it's number one. And again, it's great for hip hop, but do I think it should be number one? No. Like, do I think Good Kid, Mad City should be in the top 10? No. Do I think Lemonade should be top 10? Actually, the more I think about it, I'm not mad at that. The more I think about it, I'm not mad at Lemonade being in the top 10. Lemonade's a really good. Nah, I want Lemonade's not in my top 10. I don't think Lemonade's in the top 10. I think I will replace Lemonade with it's albums I'll replace Lemonade with. So I think that they just went really safe and they thought that the safe route would help them in the long run. However, the only thing that the safe route did was just make people ask more questions. Like, why? Who made this list? Who are these people? Who are these execs at Apple? Who are these music A&R director people at Apple who placed things on this list? Who are these people, right? And now it's a whole bunch of people making really bad list of albums. Like, these are my top 25 albums of all time. These are my top 10 albums of all time. These are my top 100 albums of all time. And now I just thought it would be fun for me to give you guys my very bad list. Excuse me, to give you guys my very bad list of top 10 albums. However, I will only be using the 10 albums listed here because I didn't have time. Well, I didn't not say I didn't have time. I didn't feel like making my own top 10 of like actual albums that I love. So I just used, luckily I listened to all of these albums that are in the top 10. So I am very well versed on how all of these albums sound and what I love and don't love about these albums. So at number 10, remember the top. So if you can't remember the top 10 of the album order, hopefully I put the top 10 in there for you to remember. And number 10 out of the 10 albums. So again, I'm using the top 10 albums of the Apple list, right? So if I had to rank the top 10 of Apple's albums, right? At number 10 will be Abbey Road by the Beatles. Again, this is my personal ranking, right? While Abbey Road is a classic album, I think people talk about the album cover more than they talk about the actual music on Abbey Road. People be like, "Oh, Abbey Road," and they be like, "Oh yeah, that's the album cover, like of the Beatles like walking across the street, right?" And yes, but people don't actually talk about the music for off of Abbey Road. And even though I think Abbey Road is an amazing album, classic album, I just have to put it at 10 because I just don't think that it compares to the rest of these bodies of work. At number 9, I'm putting Back to Black by Amy Winehouse. Back to Black by Amy Winehouse is one of the greatest bodies of work ever. Um, I love it so much, and it means so much to me. Just the rawness in her voice, the raw emotion in her voice. It's just so beautiful to listen to every time you listen to it. But with that being said, it is at number 9. It is at number 9 because I just think that these bodies of work on here is just better than that. Me personally, I just think that there's bodies of work on here that is better than that. Now, if this list was made 10 years ago, then of course, then this will be way different. Back to Black will be way higher. But I think Back to Black is ranked 9 on my list. And number at number 8, my bad, I can't count. And number 8 on my list, I have Nevermind by Nirvana. Nevermind by Nirvana is another one of those albums that's like, we talk way more about the album cover than we do the actual music. All you Nirvana fans, put your guns down. Don't shoot. I am just a citizen of the universe. But when was the last time you heard niggas be like, that never mind though? Exactly. Right on. Still one of the greatest albums of all time. However, we talk way more about that damn cover than we do about the album. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So that's number 8 for me. Number 7 for me will be Blonde. Blonde by Frank Ocean will be number 7 for me. Um, while I do love that, now when we get to like 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, these are just albums that I listen to consistently, that I just play the most at this point. What albums do I play the most at this point? Like what albums do I listen to consistently? Godspeed is one of my favorite songs. Like it's on my list of favorite songs ever. But however, it's not one of my favorite songs enough for me to put this higher than 7. I feel like that would be disrespectful to every other album on here. For me to put Blonde higher than 7. So Blonde is 7. Shout out to Frank Ocean for even making it to the top 10 though. Blonde is an amazing album, classic album. Love Blonde. However, this is number 7, not in my top 5. At number 6, I will be putting if by rules and Crips all got along, it's probably gonna be down by the end of this song. I will be putting Good Kid, Mad City at number 6 on this list. The reason why I'm putting Good Kid, Mad City at number 6 on this list is because the rest of this list are like real classics. Like, no offense to Good Kid, Mad City, but the rest of this list is like classic albums. To be honest, I could do without Good Kid, Mad City in my top 10. Like the top 5 albums on here. I mean, my bottom 5 albums right here are albums that I could all do without. in my top 10. Like these albums don't need to be in my top 10. The rest of these albums are for sure a lock in my top 10. Reminder for all those like, how are these, but aren't you ranking your top 100? I'm ranking my top 10 based off of Apple's top 10. So what Apple's top 10 is, remind you, Apple's top 10 is at 10, Lemonade at 9, Nevermind at 8, Back to Black at 7, Good Kid, Mad City at 6, Songs in the Key of Life at 5, Blonde at 4, Purple Rain at 3, Abbey Road at 2, Thriller and at 1, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That's Apple's list. From that top 10, I'm forming my top 10, just as a reminder. So right now, what we have is Abbey Road. Then after Abbey Road, we have Back to Black. Then after Back to Black, we have Nevermind. Then after Nevermind, we have Blonde. Then after Blonde, we have Good Kid, Mad City. Now after Good Kid, Mad City, at 5, sorry, I ain't sorry. Sorry, I ain't sorry. I put Lemonade at number 5. Lemonade, after further review, Lemonade is in my top 10 favorite albums of all time. I'm sorry, I had to go through the list of songs in my head before I had to come to that conclusion, and just like what that album meant, not only to Beyonce but just where I was at the time. Oh, Lemonade was such a great, dope project, man. I love Lemonade. Um. Yeah, Lemonade is at number 5 for me. I think Lemonade is a great album. Lemonade is an amazing album. Lemonade is a classic album. Um, but it doesn't beat the rest of the albums on my list. So the next album on my list at number 4, I am putting The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Now I know y'all are looking at me crazy, like what? Y'all put you're dropping The Miseducation from Lauryn Hill to 1 to 4. Yes. Do I think that the miss listen? Do I think that The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is one of the best pieces of art to grace the planet? Yes. Am I going to sit up here and tell my kids that The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is the best album of all time? Hell no. I'm not telling my kids that. I'm not telling that. I'm not telling my kids that shit. Telling my kids that shit. Now, if somebody comes up to me and be like, "Hey, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is the greatest album of all time," well, I'll argue them down. No, because yes, it's not like saying fucking what's an album on here? What's an album on here? It's not like somebody saying goddamn like a prayer by Madonna or the Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails is the greatest album of all time. Like, no, bro. I'm arguing you. Or like 3 Feet High and Rise. Yeah, you know 3 Feet High and Rising is the greatest album of all time. Love De La. What 3 Feet High and Rising did to hip hop was did a number with De La, Tribe, just that time of hip hop that it was it called the equestrian sound of hip hop. I think that's what they're called, the equestrians, right? I may or may not be, I may or may not be wrong. I feel like I'm right, but I may be wrong. But just that time of hip hop, right? What that time of hip hop did, it brought a different positive light to hip hop, and I love that. However, saying that's just the greatest album of all time, bro, is crazy. So I feel the same thing about The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Well, it is one of the greatest pieces of art to ever grace the planet Earth. I cannot rank it above these other great pieces of art, like number 3, Purple Rain. I have Purple Rain ranked up as my number 3. Purple Rain by Prince is one of the best albums of all time. It is one of the best albums of all time. Can be argued. And by the way, all of these, not all of these, but a lot of these in the top 10 can be argued best album of all time. But number 3, Purple Rain can really be argued best album of all time. Purple Rain, and not only that, he made a movie. Prince made a movie. That has to account for something. I know we're talking about the album and I know we're talking about the music, but the movie has to account for something. It has to account for something. The movie has to boost it up like an extra 5 points, right? So number 3. Now here comes the 1 and the 2 spot. At number 2, coming in front of Prince, Mind you, the last two are "Songs in the Key of Life" by Stevie Wonder and "Thriller" by Michael Jackson. And then number two is "Thriller" by Michael Jackson. And at my number one spot, my literal favorite album of all time, like my actual favorite album of all time, from beginning to end, from start to finish, what I think is the best album ever created, and no album has ever since came close to touching the musicality, the songwriting, the storytelling, the love, the emotion, the hits, the classic just sound, the A side and the B side. Song in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder, the greatest album to ever exist. It's the greatest album that ever exists. It's the greatest album that had. It's probably the. It is the. I think "Songs in the Key of Life." Again, this is my opinion. Is the greatest musical thing to ever hit planet Earth. And Stevie Wonder, it will forever be a genius for what he did to that album. And that's my opinion on the top 10 of the Apple list. I think, yeah, I just think this top 10 just needed some rearranging. But again, top 10 is argument is it can be argumented. Argumented, is that a word? It can be argumented. It can be argumented. Argumented. It can be there can be an argument over this top 10. It can be an argument over this whole list for real. And I'm tired and guys, here this is where the problem begins, right? Guys, listen. I know we get real riled up over these top 10s, these top 15s, these top 100s, these top whatevers, right? Guys, let's all remember that these are very objective. I mean, these are very subjective. These are opinion based. These aren't these aren't something that's like set in stone, right? If Apple ranked the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill the best album of all time, that's not something like set in stone, right? That's not like, yeah, this is the best album of all time because Apple said so, so it has to be that way until somebody else makes a list and says otherwise. That's not how it is, bro. If you don't like the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, one, something is wrong with you. But if you don't, we're going to give you some psychiatric help. And if you have another number one, then that's fine. If you don't like Songs in the Key of Life, I don't want to listen to your takes about music. But if you don't like it and you have something else as your number one, that's totally fine. If you don't have Purple Rain, Thriller, Good Kid, Mad City, Back to Black, Never Mind, Lemonade, whatever. If you don't have any of this top 10 in your top 10 albums of all time, one, I'm scared of you and what type of music you listen to. But however, to each his own. Like this is totally opinion based. Like none of this is factual. None of this is like by any metric standard. All of this is opinion based. Like music hits people differently. People feel music differently. So don't judge people based off of what they listen to or their the list that they make. Because everybody's lists are wrong. Your list is wrong and right at the same time. Your list is right to you, but wrong to a million other people. So what are you going to do? Are you going to try to please a million people? That's also what's like wrong with most of these lists. A lot of these lists are trying to, instead of people just being honest about their music taste and what they listen to, they're trying to please a whole plethora of people. Um, and yeah, I think people are just trying to please a whole plethora of people when you really can't. Just be honest in what you like. I see a lot of people saying, "Oh man, Earth, Wind and Fire album should be on the top 100 albums of all time." I agree. I do believe that Earth, Wind and Fire is has plenty of albums that should be on this top 100. Same as the Isley Brothers. Same as I don't even think the Temptations are on here. I'll put a Temptations album on here. I think the more another Usher album besides Confessions. Uh I think is Anti the only Rihanna album on here? Wow. Okay. Wow. Um Yeah, I think that there. I think To Pimp a Butterfly should be on here. I have a Cole album in my top 100. Now, is it high 100? No, but is it top 100? Hell yeah. Uh, again, guys, this is 100%. Do I think Flower Boy should be in top 100? Hell no, guys. This is all subjective. Like none of this, like this isn't set in stone. Do I understand why some of those albums weren't on here? Like, do I understand why Earth, Wind, and Fire wasn't on this list? Hell yeah. Cause you know how many people, like, bro, you have to think about the amount of music that's come out and amount of people probably making this list. Like, this isn't one person making this list. So you have to think about the amount of people making this list, the amount of genres of music there is, bro. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of music. Like it's a lot of music on here. And I see that they're trying to keep it fair, but they try to do like the one album per artist. I think I don't know, but like when you have like multiple super classic albums, it's hard. Like, uh, is Michael Jackson only on here once? Is Michael Jackson only on here once? Is Bad not on? Is Bad not on here? Is Bad not one of the top one? See, guys, see what I mean? Objective, because the actual greatest Michael Jackson album, the actual greatest Michael Jackson album of all time, isn't even on the list. Bad isn't even on. See what I'm talking about, guys? So don't get too mad about the list. Don't get too upset about these lists. Um, because these lists aren't real, and the people who make these lists aren't real. These lists are just things that to keep us talking and keep us occupied until further notice, and that's that. Next thing on the docket, Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj concert postponed after she was detained in the Netherlands over cannabis. Let's read this report. According to NPR, Nicki Minaj concert in Manchester, scheduled for Saturday night, was postponed after police in the Netherlands discovered marijuana in her bag as she was preparing to leave the country. Promoter Live Nation said that performance will be rescheduled and tickets will be honored. Despite Nicki's best efforts to explore every possible avenue to make tonight's show happen, the events of today have made it impossible. The promoter said in a statement, "We are deeply disappointed by the inconveniences that has this has caused." Minaj tweeted earlier Saturday that she was stopped at Amsterdam airport as she was about to board the plane for the concert in Manchester. Police told her they found marijuana in her bag and uh, it will have to be weighed. She tweeted, "Cannabis is illegal in the Netherlands, but it is tolerated for recreational use." We will approach that statement later. Um, Robert Van Capel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Robert. If I'm butchering your name, I'm sorry. Robert Van Capel, a spokesperson for the Netherlands military police, said a 41-year-old American woman had been arrested for exporting soft drugs. He did not identify the woman or elaborate on the type of drugs in question. Police later tweeted that they fined the woman and released her. Minaj, who is 41 years old, tweeted, NPR is so messy. NPR is so messy. They said they said that the dude said a 41-year-old American woman been arrested for exporting soft drugs. And then later in the article, they're gonna say Minaj, who is a 41-year-old woman. NPR is so messy. Minaj, who is a 41-year-old woman, tweeted that her belief that she believes police just wanted to make her late for her concert in Manchester. Told you, told you, is to try to make me late so that they can write negative stories. Jealousy is a disease. You know the rest. Minaj tweeted. Her representatives didn't immediately respond to the messages Saturday. All right, let's get into it. So basically, what you found out was that what happens in America doesn't happen anywhere. What you found out is that what happens in America doesn't happen everywhere else, and you just can't be going places with weed, my nigga. Nobody, listen. I've heard. Listen, after what happened to Brittany Griner in Russia, right? I am terrified to go anywhere with any illegal substance, whether that's in this country or any other country, especially out the country. Nigga, I listen. I'm scared of American jail. I'm scared of American jail just as it is, just as an entity, right? I'm scared of American jail. What makes you think that I'm ready for international jail? I don't think people be thinking about that sometimes. Like, nigga, if you're scared of to be in American jail, why the fuck would you do some shit that put you in international jail? Why would you have weed in your bag internationally? You are Nikki. You are well traveled. You know better. You're well traveled. You know better. You know better. Stink. You know better. You know better. What example to this is what example does Papa Bear have as a Papa Bear? What example is there set for the baby? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is not. I'm sorry. Nah, that's not funny. I'm sorry. That's not funny. I need to stop playing around. Um, told you it's trying to make me late. Told you is this is a statement by Nicki Minaj. This is what she tweeted. Told you it's to try to make me late so that they can write negative stories. Jealousy is a disease. You know the rest. I don't think that it's jealousy. I don't think that people want it. I don't think that the Netherlands police really care about the bad stories or bad press that you receive. Honestly, I just think that they don't want illegal drugs in their country. They don't know what you intend to do with those drugs, whether it is to use them or to sell them. And if you use those drugs, well, what are you going to do on those drugs? And if you do something on those drugs in their country that like jeopardizes the reputation of wherever you're going, right? Or wherever you're going, right? That's a bad look on them. Like, bro, it's a lot you have to think about, bro. And there's a lot to think about, like like on different continents and different countries, different whatever. It's a lot you have to think about, and it's a lot you have to be cognizant about. It is a lot of different cultures and things that you have to respect. And she just got caught not respecting she was not respecting the culture. At the end of the statement released by NPR says the Trinidadian born rapper is best known for her hit Super Freaky Girl, Anaconda, and Starships. She's been nominated for 12 Grammy Awards over the course of her career. The Manchester concert is a part of her Pink Friday 2 tour, which includes stops in Paris, Poland, Germany, Romania, and Switzerland. So at least while the Manchester, like, because you have to also think on the bright side, right? I don't think you have to think on the bright side. This could have went way worse. Like they didn't have to release you for that. Like soft drugs, hard drugs, you don't have to be released for that shit. You lucky Amsterdam be just chilling. You lucky Amsterdam just be chilling, bro. You do not need you didn't have to be they didn't have to release you for that. So guess what? This whole uh uh second this whole leg of the tour, this whole overseas leg of the tour that you were about to go on could have been wraps. Like this shit could have been done quick because you wanted to bring some damn weed. And how much weed? Nikki? How much weed was it? How much? It better been worth it. It better been like two zips in that motherfucker. It better been worth. If Nikki, if you was riding around with a damn KD of weed in your bag, I would be so disappointed in you. So disappointed. A KD, nigga. You could a KD. Okay, I just and you know what I'll be thinking about? I also be thinking about like Dubai, right? And as beautiful as Dubai is, you know Dubai has those really harsh laws, right? Especially about weed smoking. And I just be thinking about, damn, like my nigga, what if you get caught in Dubai with that shit? Like, what if a super famous person gets caught in Dubai with that shit? Um, don't want that to happen. Is there? Hold on, my knock on wood. Don't want that to happen. But like, what if? Just what if? Like that would be crazy. So yeah, guys, not even just famous people, just people watching this, be more careful. You got to be more careful. Be more careful. Be more careful. Be more careful. All right. All right. Please be more careful when you're traveling and going places. Um, because nigga, not everywhere is America. And the things that you can do domestically, you can't do internationally. Just in case y'all don't know. Yeah, this is stupid. However, congratulations to Nicki Minaj though, because her tour is going fucking fantastic. I've been seeing the videos from the tour. The tour looks amazing. The set looks amazing. People love it. I love that the fans are participating, wearing the pink in the crowd. I love it. The tour looks like it's a huge success. It looks like it's a huge commercial success. It looks like she's selling out every single night. Every single video that I've seen, it looks like a sold out crowd. I'm pretty sure that every show is sold out, has sold out, especially in the American leg of the tour. So I don't want to just shit on her for this one little teeny tiny mistake, right? Even though this teeny tiny mistake could have led into some bigger things, right? Like her whole leg of the tour being, oh look, like her whole leg of the tour being like shut down or whatever. But no, that didn't happen. She can still tour. She can still travel. She can still do what she needs to do. The Manchester show is just postponed. Her tour is still rocking. Her tour is still doing amazing. The Pink Friday 2 album is still amazing. So, yeah, shout out Nicki Minaj. Shout out Nicki Minaj and all the great things that she is and has been doing. All right, last thing on the docket, then we're gonna get on up out of here. We're gonna get on up out of here. You know what? I lied. Nah, you know what? We're gonna save that for next episode because I told y'all that I'm going to give y'all like a prep episode of what this episode is going to be, what the pod is going to be. I lied to y'all. That's my bad. A lot has been happening, bro. So much has been happening. So much in the news has been happening. I haven't even been tapping in to like everything. I've been trying to like just manage what has been entering, exiting my mind as I've been moving on with the pod. So this pod, the all right. So this season of the pod is a special season for me, right? Because this the everybody's argues about when the streaming era like started, right? For me, the first album I saw streamed or that I streamed was The Life of Pablo by Kanye West. And that album to me transformed the streaming world. It transformed what streaming is. It transformed all of that, right? It just transformed like there's just the avenue of streaming. So I chose this season to be the Life of Pablo themed. One, because it's Kanye's seventh studio album. Two, because I feel like this season of the podcast will transform the podcast into something so spectacular, into something so great, into something so special, which it already has. And I'm home for the summer, so like the amount of work and the amount of attention I can put my 100% undivided attention just on the pod, and that's basically like what I'm going to be doing this whole summer. So while I'm cranking out episodes for you guys, while I'm, making content for you guys, while I'm writing stuff, doing stuff, just trying to make this podcast as great as possible this season. I just need y'all to keep rocking with me. I need y'all to keep sharing the podcast. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell an auntie about the Arts Block podcast. If you have a friend that's an artist, if you have a cousin who thinks they're an artist but they're not sure, if you just have a friend or uncle who just likes listening to podcast, send them this podcast. Tell them that this podcast uh is very informative on just news today, very informative on art, very informative on just all things. You can literally learn anything on the Art Spot podcast at any given time, which is such a blessing. So yeah, where am I at during the season though? So you guys know how I kept saying I did not want to come home, and how I want to go back to New York as soon as possible. This season is going to be how that happens. This season of the podcast is going to be how that happens. This is how I get back to New York as soon as possible, and not on no school, but because of work and because my phone's going to be ringing so much from opportunity. My phone's going to be ringing so much from like, hey, we have this going on. Hey, we have that going on. Hey, we have this, we have that. Da, 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 right? Just my phone ringing, buzzing, 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 buzzing. so much, right? That I'm gonna have to go back to New York and I'm gonna just have to stay for a while and I can't come back for a while. And that sounds scary that sounds that sounds scary right now. However, I'm ready to be scared, scared shitless. I'm ready to be scared. But the what's the saying? The best reward is on the other side of fear. Like the greatest reward is on the other side of fear, or something like that. So yeah, I'm just ready to face what I'm scared of. Right, I'm scared of having the option to not return here. That's something that scares me. Um, but I think that that option will keep me so grounded and so focused on my work and what I need to do, and just all the things that I need to focus on. And yeah, yeah, I just think I'm ready to take that next step. That's it. I think I'm ready to take the next step for me, for my career, for my family. I'm just ready to take that next step that nobody has ever taken before and has ever seen. And I'm ready to go leaps and bounds beyond what people have ever imagined and what have people has ever seen before. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm kind of at that point. Like I'm grinding now. I'm in grind mode. I'm locked in. I'm locked. We're locked in. We're so locked in. I'm ready to change the landscape of podcasting. I'm ready to change the landscape of media. I'm ready to change the world. Let's shake things up. Arts Block Podcast Season 7. Let's go. But before we go, I'm going to give you all this dead or alive now. But before we go, I'm going to give you all this dead or alive. Now, if this is your first time watching the Arts Block Podcast, hello. If this is your last time watching the Arts Block Podcast, goodbye. But dead or alive is a segment on the podcast where me or the artist gets to choose episodes. I mean, not episodes, artists from the podcast that we would like to work with that is dead or alive. Now we can choose one artist, we can choose 100 artists. Please don't. Oh wow, I was about to do the old intro. That's crazy. We can choose one artist. We can choose one artist. We can choose 100 artists. This is my podcast, so I'm going to do whatever I want. My three for the day, my three dead or alive for today is going to be my top three for my album, for my 100 albums. Um, my actual list of 100. Actually, you know what's crazy? You know what? I'm gonna give y'all a hint on what albums are in my top 100, top 10 in my top 10 albums of all time. This is gonna be fun. Um, one of them I already gave y'all. So one of them is Stevie Wonder, right? And y'all can guess the albums if y'all want. Like y'all can guess the albums that are in there if y'all want. Stevie Wonder, Adele. Eric, you have an Adele album in your yes, I have an Adele album in my like catalog. For sure having an Adele album in my top 10. Stevie Wonder, Adele. This is hard because I never made like a top 10 albums of all time list. Like I never made it. Oh, oh, is that my top 10 albums of all time? Is this in my top 10 albums of all time? No way. No, I don't think I can think of an album. Surprisingly, this might be in my top 10 albums of all time. We might have a curveball, ladies and gentlemen. We might have a no we don't. 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 That would have been fun though. That would have been fun. That would have been fun. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye. I'm not going to tell y'all what the album. I'm not going to tell y'all what the albums are. I'm going to let y'all just guess. Just guess which albums are in my top 10. And I'm going to guess what album and list y'all's top 10 albums of all time in the comments too. Because I'm interested in learning what y'all be listening to and what learning what y'all are into. So yeah, let me know what y'all top 10 albums are of all time. And let me know what y'all's number one podcast of all time is. Hi, you don't have to tell me. I already know. It's the Arts Block Podcast. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of greatness. I have been your host, Eric Curry III. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram at Eric Curry III to just keep up with me, my personal, my life, my everyday. If you just want to keep up with the podcast and say fluff you, Eric, I don't care nothing about you. I just care about the podcast. Well, then luckily for you, the podcast has its own separate Instagram. You can follow the podcast at Arts Block Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you turn on post notifications so you can be notified every time we post a podcast. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, make sure you give me a 5 star and a review. Remember that artists never die. Remember that I love you, God loves you. Do something that makes you passionate every single day. Do something that makes you feel good every single day. Work towards your dreams every single day. What is your purpose? Why are you here? If you know, do it. If you don't, figure it out so we can all make the world a better place. I'm going to see y'all when I see y'all. Peace, love, and hair grease. See y'all next week. I am out.